I wish to remain anonymous from Mississauga, Canada. My question is regarding the migration answer you gave. What if the migration to Canada was to avoid harassment and violence in Pakistan? We have been robbed at gunpoint many times. In almost all government departments, people are forced to give bribes to get anything done. I have children who I don't wish to expose to this corruption culture. The question posed is regarding the answer I gave earlier on migration, that a Muslim who's living in a Muslim country should not migrate to a non-Muslim country. It is not permitted, especially for a better living, etc. So based on that answer, she's asking that what if I migrate to Canada, because in Pakistan I have been robbed many times at gunpoint and this corruption, and I don't want to expose my children to corruption. Point number one. As I mentioned in my earlier answer, that Allah clearly states in the Quran, in Surah Nisa, chapter number 4, verse number 97, that when the angel of death comes to take the soul of the person who died and asks the person, how were you? And he says that we were oppressed and weak. So the angel replies, is not the earth of Allah vast enough for you to migrate? This verse was revealed specially for Muslims living in non-Muslim countries, in non-Muslim areas. So if you're a Muslim living in non-Muslim area, and if you cannot follow your deen, you cannot practice all your faraiz, it becomes the fard for you to migrate. And if you can practice all your faraiz, and you're not harassed and you can do almost everything what's allowed in Islam, then it becomes the mustab to migrate, not a fard. But I don't know any non-Muslim country today in the world where you can practice all your faraiz and no one harasses you. There can be certain parts in certain countries where it's possible, but as a whole, any country where everywhere you can practice Islam, I don't know such a country, such a non-Muslim country, where you can practice everything without being harassed. Yes, you can be less harassed in some countries. You can practice more of Islam in certain countries, but following 100%, it is difficult. In such conditions where it's possible to practice Islam and not being harassed, then become mustab to migrate and becomes makruh to continue to stay. So based on that, what the scholars said and given the answer, it is not correct for a Muslim to migrate for greener pastures, for better living, for more income, for a better luxurious life. It's not permitted. Now coming to your question, then you give two reasons. In Pakistan, you have been robbed many a time at gunpoints. Now if you compare the crime rate in Pakistan and in Canada in terms of being robbed at gunpoint, of course in Western countries, in USA, Canada, etc., the violence of gunpoint killing and robbing is multiple times more than Pakistan. You see the statistics. The amount of people that are being robbed at gunpoint in America, it is then Pakistan, I'm aware, but America and Canada is much more than Pakistan. You see the statistics. So it's totally misconception on your part that Canada has got less robbing than Pakistan. Coming to the second point of corruption, that there is excessive corruption in the government. I don't want to expose your children to that. I do agree with you that the corruption in Pakistan may be more than the corruption in Canada or the Western countries. But corruption is a smaller sin as compared to other things, that you cannot practice Islam freely, you may not be able to offer salah, you may not be able to do a hijab. When you go out, there are glaring, obscene posters everywhere. So all these vis-a-vis corruption is a small issue. And according to the verse of the Quran of Surah Baqarah chapter 2 verse number 188, that use not your wealth as bait in order to eat other people's wealth. So bribing is haram. But the scholars say that if you are bribing to get your haqq, that what is really due to you, if you are bribing, it's permissible. For example, if some government servant is not purposely doing what they are supposed to do, or you want to have some connection of electricity or you want some clearance and they're not doing until you give a bribe. So scholars says if that is your haqq, it is your right. And if that government servant doesn't do that act unless you bribe, in this cases it is permissible. But if you are bribing to get a benefit that you don't deserve it, by bribing you are getting it, that is haram. So in bribing are of two types. One is to eat other people's right, that is haram, it's a major sin. But if you are bribing to get your right, so it's same in Pakistan, if you are bribing to eat someone else's right, it is haram, you should not do it. But if you are bribing just because the person wants a bribe and it's your haqq, it's your right, in this case the scholar says this bribing is permissible. Avoid it, as a last resort it's permissible. But vis-a-vis, the reasons why I gave for not migrating to a non-Muslim land are far more serious. Your deen is in danger. Whatever evil is there in the Western country is there even in the Muslim countries, but it is at a lesser percentage. The chances that you will deviate away from Islam in a Western country is multiple times more than in the Muslim country. The amount of zina that is there, the amount of fornication, adultery that is there, it is also in the Muslim country, but it is less. The statistics what we have in the Western country, whether it be USA, Canada, it says that a girl, 95% of the girls by the time they pass university have lost their virginity. There may be zina in the other countries, but lesser. So how can you leave a Muslim country and go to a non-Muslim country where the evils and the haram acts are more? One or two haram may be more in Pakistan, I agree with you. But as a whole, if you, these are just excuses. What we Muslims do, we want some excuses to go to the Western country, to enjoy life, to take care of the luxury, to earn more money. So we try and look for excuses. So that's how we come up with the excuses. I don't want corruption. Okay, fine. Even I don't want corruption. And that reminds me that when I'd gone to Pakistan, I've been to Pakistan only once in 1991, before I used to give lectures. And when I traveled in a train, I had a lot of Quran copies and Islamic books, and I wasn't aware of the limit that you can carry in the train. So I had many boxes, and then the ticket collector came and he said, "You're overweight, you cannot carry this in the train, in the compartment where you're traveling. It should be in the luggage room." I said, "I do not know. I'm sorry." So then the porter at the platform, he tells me, "Saab, मुझे 100 रुपया दो, मैं इसको पटाता हूँ. Give me 100 rupees, I will take care of him." I said, "I cannot do that. Bribing is haram." So then I went and I spoke with the ticket collector and I came back. Then the porter is asking me, "Sir, how much money did you bribe him?" I said, "I did not bribe." Like, "Please tell me, how much did you bribe?" I said, "I did not bribe." He got angry. "Why are you telling me lies? झूठ क्यों बोल रहे?" That means the porter was confirmed. He was 100% sure that the ticket collector will not let me go without taking a bribe. Actually, when I spoke to the ticket collector, I wasn't known that time and I used to give public lectures, but Allah had given me the knack of speaking. So I spoke to him. You know what he told me? "I will leave you only under the condition you have tea with me." So this porter, he could not believe that how can the ticket collector not take bribe from me. So Alhamdulillah, so I know that bribing is very common in Pakistan. It's more common than most of the other countries. But this is a smaller problem. The other evil that is there in the Western countries, you're playing with fire. If you take your children there are high chances they get involved. They can get involved in zina, they can get involved in drugs, they get involved in alcoholism. I've got many friends all over the world, even in Canada. I know people who were so pious Muslims, husband, wife and children, all children Hafiz. And the lady now, the husband went outlined. The child who was a Hafiz al-Quran started taking drugs. And there are many such cases. So the point to be noted is that these Western countries, whether it be USA, Canada, yes, Canada may be better than USA, But yet, it is not better than the Muslim countries. The chances that you will deviate, get involved in haram activity, whether it be zina, whether it be obscenity, whether it be pornography, whether it be drug addiction, whether it be alcoholism, it is much more as compared to Muslim countries, including Pakistan. I'm aware there is drug addiction in Pakistan. I'm aware there is alcoholism in Pakistan. I'm aware there is zina. But the percentage in the Western countries is much higher. It is glaring. When you go, you see billboards which are obscene. You cannot walk in the streets. So the percentage is very high. That is the reason I do agree with the scholars who say that it should not migrate from Muslim country to a non-Muslim country. You are playing with fire, you are jeopardizing your akhirah. So I yet stick to my answer, and I hope that this Muslim family goes back to Pakistan or goes to any other Muslim country, no problem, but see to it that you stay in a Muslim country. Hope that answers the question.